Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing another pen from Asvine. Now, last year I think it was, I reviewed, I think it was the Asvine P36 from memory. Really enjoyed it. And so I have a couple of Asvine pens to look at now, courtesy of Asvine. So a big thank you to them for sending this and a couple of other pens out for review. So this is how the pen comes packaged. What we're talking about today is the V126. So the way Asvine number their pens is the first letter, the V, for instance, in this, indicates it is a vac filler. So P is for piston, V is for vac, etc., etc. So this is how it comes packaged. Typical Asvine packaging, the pen in a little sleeve, and the version I have for you today is the matte black acrylic version. As I said, this is a vac filling pen. So it has a vac mechanism where you unscrew this, pull the knob up, put it in a bottle of ink, push the rod down, and it creates a vacuum, and then once that vacuum sort of is released, it sucks ink up into the pen. So it's got an inbuilt filling mechanism. I'm going to talk about the parts and features of this pen. I'm going to do a writing sample, and then we'll talk about some pros and cons. Now, straight up from the outset, this pen does resemble a lot of features here from the Pilot Custom 823, but I think there are enough differences, both in terms of the aesthetics of the pen and size and things like that, which is slightly different, to obvious, and of course the price point, the fact that you've got a steel nib versus a gold nib. It does pay homage to it. There are certain features that are very similar, like that clip there. But I think there's enough differences to warrant this pen seeing some attention in its own right. Now, I will, at a later date, do a comparison of those two pens. But here is my review of the V126 from Asvine. Okay, starting at the top of the pen, we get a dome of the black acrylic. Then we get a little band, the clip, which sits nicely there, which is relatively usable. It's got a ball on the end, not a spinning ball, but just a ball of steel, and that makes it very, very usable. The trim on this pen has a beautiful black coating on it, which I think matches the design of that matte black acrylic beautifully. The cap swells out, and we get to the center band that says, I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up, but Asvine and then V126 on the back there. There's a little sort of beveled step down onto the barrel of the pen, which continues along, another black ring, and then we get the vac rod activation knob, whatever you want to call it, on the end of the pen. It is a screw cap pen, and it comes off in about 1.5 turns. Reveals a nice smooth step down, very smooth threads, and then a nice tapered section with a little flare, and then this beautiful black number 6 size nib and plastic bead. This is a medium, and it writes like an absolute dream. As I said, vac filling pen, so the entire body of the pen becomes an ink reservoir. You can see the ink sort of sloshing around in there. I won't activate it, of course, because it is inked, but it's a fun mechanism. It's a mechanism I really enjoy using, but no cartridge, no converter, bottled ink only for this guy. The V126 does post, and it posts really nicely and securely past that knob there, making it a very comfortable pen in the hand. The balance is nice. I'll talk about the weights, but you've only got about 1/3 of the pen's weight there on the cap, so it does make a nice balanced, very comfortable pen. This is a pen I find easy to write with, both posted and unposted, because it is big enough for both. Okay, size comparison today with the Lamy Safari. You see it is longer there than Safari by a few millimeters. And it certainly feels bigger in the hand. However, uncapped, we actually have a very similar size pen here. It's a good size, but similar to the Lamy Safari. And then posted, it comes in at just a smidge shorter here than the Lamy Safari. The Lamy Safari does post quite well, but a little long. What I find is that the balance or the feel of the posted Asvine V126 is better in your hand than the posted Lamy Safari. So what are the dimensions of the Asvine V126? Well, it's 148 millimeters when it is capped. It's 130 when it is uncapped, so yeah, a good size in the hand, a nice sort of length section and nib, so it's good size. 163 when it is posted, so it is long but comfortably long. Around the section is about 11 millimeters in the middle there, and the widest point of the pen is just over 15 millimeters. The pen weighs 28 grams, We've got 9 in the cap and 19 in the body. So it's a nice weight, and the balance very much leads down to the nib when it is unposted. And then when you post it, the balance evens out and it sits just nicely in your hand there. Okay, so let's do a writing sample here with the Asvine V126. As I said, this has a steel medium nib, and the ink in this today is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukiyo. An ink that for some reason I ignored for a number of years, and I don't know why. I'd used samples of it. I'd used it a bit in the past, particularly when I was first exploring the Iroshizuku line. Then a friend mentioned it to me the other day, that how much he really enjoys that ink, and so I put it in this pen and my custom 823, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's a brilliant ink. Let's do a writing sample with this pen. So it lays out a very nice medium line, and it's got good flow. I wouldn't say it's super wet, but you can see great flow. Reverse writing is actually fairly smooth, but much drier and much finer. This is not a flex nib, but you can see there, you can get a little bit of line variation, and you do put quite a lot of ink down, but there is a little bit of line variation to be had there. Let's try some fast writing. Now, that little skip there at the start was definitely me, not the pen. So you can see it writes well, it writes wet, it's quite smooth. Like, it's quite smooth. There's a hint of feedback, but it is smooth, it's wet, it has, it's reliable. And it's a pen I really enjoy writing with. So one of the big pros of this pen, and I'll come back to the pros and cons, but one of the big pros of this pen is the price. This retails on Amazon here in Australia for about $63, and there are places you can get it cheaper than that, which is wild. This is a really good quality pen that writes really well with a good filling mechanism at a really reasonable price. This is kind of like the upper mid-level of the Chinese pen market. Asvine is a Chinese pen company, but so you are paying more than you will for pens by, say, Jinhao and brands like that. But it's kind of more in that Hongdian kind of price range, and I think it's pretty decent value at that price. Now let's talk about pros and cons. Yes, it is a familiar design, and there are a couple of features that are particularly familiar here. But as a lot of people will say, it's a tube that holds ink with a nib on it. Like, there's only so much you can do. And I agree with that to a point. And as I said at the start of this video, I think there are enough features and the materials and things like that to say that there's enough here that is individual that warrants this pen being on the market. Lots of pros. I enjoy the nib. I like the fact that it's got a black nib on it. I think that ties in so beautifully with the black on the trim and the matte black acrylic. And there are a number of different versions and finishes of this pen that are available. This one I really enjoyed. This one struck me the moment I saw it. So yeah, I like the nib. I like how it writes. I love how this material feels in the hand. It's matte, but it's smooth. It's not glossy, but it's shiny. It's just really interesting. I really enjoy it. And I do love the black trim on this pen. I love the fact that it is a vac filler. Vac filling pens are good fun. They have good ink capacity. And for a pen that you want to write with as much as I want to write with this pen, the vac filling system is really great. And then, of course, as I said, the price. This is a really reasonably priced pen. Steel nib, not a gold nib like the pen it shares some physical features with. but I think it's pretty good value at that price, and it writes really, really well. So this was the Asvine V126. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notifications button if you'd like to stay up to date with the videos that I produce. And if you've got products you think I should be looking at, I would love to hear from you. Once again, a big thank you to Asvine for sending this out for review. I really appreciate the support. So in the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.